God has a way of calling his children in ways that often go unnoticed. Sometimes the divine call comes softly, like a whisper in your heart, and at other times, it manifests with clarity so unmistakable that your soul cannot deny it. To be chosen by God is not merely a privilege, it is a responsibility, a sacred invitation to walk in alignment with his will. Many of us go through life searching for purpose, for meaning, and for validation. The truth is, God has already seen you, already known you, and has set a path uniquely crafted for you. Recognizing the signs that you are chosen is a journey of discernment, faith, and spiritual awakening. One of the first signs is the presence of an unexplainable peace. You might find yourself in moments of uncertainty or chaos, yet your spirit remains calm, anchored in a sense of divine assurance. This peace is not circumstantial. It is a gift from God, a gentle reminder that you are under his care. It is the whisper in your soul telling you, I have chosen you. I will guide you. Many people experience fleeting moments of peace, but those whom God calls often feel this serenity consistently, even amid life's storms. This peace becomes a compass, helping you navigate through the decisions and paths that align with your calling. Another sign is an unshakable conviction in matters of faith and morality. When God chooses a person, he often instills within them a clarity of conscience and an unwavering adherence to his principles. This conviction may manifest as a strong sense of right and wrong, a natural inclination to stand for truth, and a willingness to defend what is just, even when it comes at a personal cost. It is this inner moral compass that guides the chosen ones, distinguishing them from the influences of the world. They are often compelled to act in ways that honor God, even when the outcomes are uncertain or challenging. A third sign is the gift of discernment. Those who are chosen are frequently given an ability to see beyond the surface, to perceive the hidden motives, the spiritual undertones, and the unseen consequences of actions. This discernment is not rooted in human wisdom, but in divine insight. You may find that you naturally sense when something is aligned with God's will or when it is contrary to it. You may feel compelled to pray before decisions, to seek guidance from Scripture, or to listen to the quiet nudges of the Holy Spirit. Such spiritual sensitivity is a hallmark of a life that is being called to higher purposes. God also places opportunities and responsibilities in the paths of those he chooses. These often appear as doors opening at the right time, connections with the right people, or assignments that challenge and stretch your abilities. You may notice that certain situations, which seem coincidental, actually lead to meaningful growth or allow you to serve in significant ways. It is important to recognize these moments as divine appointments, for they are often orchestra by God to prepare you for the calling he has placed on your life. A profound sense of empathy and compassion is another indicator of God's selection. Those he calls are often deeply moved by the suffering and needs of others. Their hearts ache for justice, for healing, for reconciliation, and for hope. They find themselves drawn to help, to comfort, and to serve without seeking recognition. This empathy is a reflection of God's love flowing through them, enabling them to be instruments of his grace and mercy. In recognizing the pain and struggles of others, the chosen ones mirror the heart of God, demonstrating his love in tangible ways. Persistent faith, even in the face of trials, is yet another powerful sign. Life will test those whom God has chosen, often in ways that challenge their faith, patience, and perseverance. Yet they endure. They pray when hope seems distant, trust when circumstances seem bleak, and maintain belief when logic says otherwise. This steadfast faith is not a product of personal strength alone. It is empowered by God's Spirit. It is the quiet assurance that he is faithful, that he will fulfill his promises, and that your life is part of his divine plan. Spiritual hunger and a desire for deeper communion with God is also characteristic of those he chooses. You may find yourself longing for his presence, seeking his wisdom and craving his guidance. Daily prayer, meditation on the word, and contemplation become more than routines. They become lifelines. You are drawn to understand his will more fully, to align your thoughts, words, and actions with his purpose. This hunger is a signal that God is working in your heart, shaping you and preparing you for the mission he has entrusted to you. Finally, a life marked by meaningful impact is a sign of God's calling. While the chosen may start in humble or ordinary circumstances, their lives eventually touch others in extraordinary ways. They inspire, teach, heal, encourage, and lead by example. Their actions create ripples that extend far beyond their immediate environment. This impact is often unplanned by human design, Yet it is the natural outcome of living faithfully according to God's call. The realization that your life matters, that your choices affect eternity, is a confirmation that you have been chosen for a purpose that transcends the ordinary. In conclusion, being chosen by God is both an honor and a sacred responsibility. The signs: peace amidst chaos, moral conviction, divine discernment, opportunities that align with God's plan, empathy, persistent faith, spiritual hunger, and impactful life are reminders that you are called to live intentionally, faithfully, and courageously. Each moment, each decision, each act of love and service is part of fulfilling the purpose for which you were chosen. By recognizing these signs, you awaken to the truth that your life is divinely orchestrated, and you step into a destiny that carries the light of God into the world. Sometimes the journey of a person chosen by God does not begin with comfort or recognition. In fact, many who are called by God experience seasons of confusion, rejection, or loneliness before they fully understand their purpose. This is not because God has abandoned them, but because He is preparing their hearts. Preparation often happens in silence. In the quiet places of life where no one is watching, God shapes the character of those He has chosen. You may notice that throughout your life, you have faced challenges that seemed heavier than what others around you experienced. There were moments when you questioned why certain doors closed, or why certain relationships ended unexpectedly. Yet later, when you looked back, you began to see that those very moments protected you, redirected you, or strengthened you in ways you could never have imagined. When God chooses someone, He often guides them through difficult seasons so they can grow in wisdom, humility, and strength. Another powerful sign that you are chosen by God is the way your heart reacts to truth. When you hear words of faith, hope, and spiritual wisdom, something within you awakens. It feels as though your soul recognizes those words as if they were meant specifically for you. While others may hear the same message and move on quickly, you find yourself reflecting on it deeply. You carry those words in your heart, thinking about them during quiet moments, allowing them to shape your thoughts and decisions. People chosen by God also often experience a strong sense of inner calling that cannot easily be ignored. Even if they try to live a normal life without thinking about spiritual purpose, something inside them continues to remind them that their life has a deeper meaning. It is like a gentle pull on the heart, urging them to seek God more, to help others more, and to live in a way that reflects divine love. This calling does not shout loudly. Instead, it quietly follows them through every stage of life. At times, this calling may even feel uncomfortable because it challenges personal desires or worldly expectations. You may feel drawn toward acts of kindness when others choose indifference. You may feel the need to speak truth when silence would be easier. These moments are not coincidences. They are evidence that God's Spirit is working within you, guiding your heart toward His greater purpose. Another important sign is the way God places certain people in your life at exactly the right time. Sometimes they appear as mentors, friends, teachers, or even strangers who speak words that bring clarity and encouragement. These encounters may seem ordinary on the surface, but they often carry messages that guide you closer to your calling. God frequently uses people as instruments to reveal direction, comfort, and confirmation. Along with these connections, you may also notice that your life contains moments of unexpected protection. There may have been situations where things could have gone terribly wrong, yet somehow you were spared. Perhaps a delayed decision kept you from danger, or an unexpected change redirected your path at the last moment. When God has chosen someone for a purpose, He often protects them in ways that are difficult to explain but impossible to ignore. Another sign is a growing desire to serve others rather than seeking recognition. Many people in the world chase status, praise, and personal gain. But those who were chosen by God often discover that their deepest fulfillment comes from helping others grow, heal, and find hope. They feel joy when someone else succeeds. They feel peace when they offer comfort to someone who is hurting. Their purpose becomes less about themselves and more about being a light for others. You may also notice that your life begins to change gradually as your awareness of God's presence grows stronger. Certain habits that once seemed normal may no longer feel right. Your priorities begin to shift. Instead of focusing only on temporary achievements, you start thinking about lasting impact. You begin to value honesty, compassion, patience, and faith more deeply than before. This transformation does not happen overnight. It is a slow process that unfolds over time as God continues shaping your heart. Each lesson, each challenge, and each moment of reflection becomes part of the journey that leads you closer to your true calling. One of the most beautiful signs that God has chosen you is the way your faith continues to grow even when life becomes uncertain. There will be moments when you do not understand what God is doing in your life. There will be seasons when answers seem distant. Yet despite the uncertainty, something inside you continues to trust Him. This quiet trust is powerful. It allows you to move forward even when the path ahead is unclear. It reminds you that God's plans are often greater than human understanding. While the world may measure success by wealth, popularity, or power, God measures success by faithfulness, love, and obedience. Those who are chosen by God often discover that their greatest strength comes from surrendering their fears and trusting Him completely. Instead of trying to control every outcome, they learn to walk step by step, guided by faith. Those who are chosen by God often discover that their greatest strength comes from surrendering their fears and trusting Him completely. Instead of trying to control every outcome, they learn to walk step by step, guided by faith. Another powerful sign is the influence your life begins to have on others. You may not always notice it at first, but people around you may start seeking your advice, your encouragement, or your prayers. They may feel comforted simply by your presence. This happens because the peace and wisdom God places in your heart naturally spreads to those around you. When God chooses someone, their life becomes a source of light. Even simple conversations can inspire hope. Even small acts of kindness can create meaningful change. Over time, these small moments grow into something much greater than you ever expected. It is important to remember that being chosen by God does not mean living a life without struggles. In fact, those who are called often face challenges that test their patience, courage, and faith. But every challenge becomes an opportunity for growth. Every difficulty becomes a lesson that prepares them for greater responsibility. God never wastes pain. Every experience, whether joyful or difficult, becomes part of the story He is writing through your life. When you begin to recognize these signs, inner calling, growing faith, compassion for others, unexpected protection, meaningful connections, and a deep desire to serve, you start to see that your life is not random. It is guided. It is purposeful. And as this understanding grows, you begin to realize that God has not only chosen you for a purpose, but is also walking beside you every step of the way. There comes a moment in the life of a person chosen by God when everything begins to make sense. It may not happen suddenly, and it may not come with a loud announcement from heaven, but slowly, quietly, the pieces of your life begin to connect. The struggles you faced, the lessons you learned, the people you met, and even the disappointments you endured start to form a clear picture. You begin to realize that nothing in your life was meaningless. Every step was part of preparation. Many people spend their lives searching for purpose, without realizing that purpose is not something we create on our own. Purpose is something God reveals as we walk closer with Him. When you are chosen by God, He slowly opens your eyes to see how your life can become a blessing for others. You begin to notice that the experiences you once thought were painful or unnecessary were actually shaping your character. Sometimes the greatest confirmation that you are chosen by God comes through the way He uses your story to inspire others. You may find that when you speak about your journey, people feel encouraged. When you share how you overcame fear, someone else gains courage. When you talk about trusting God during difficult moments, others begin to believe that they can do the same. Your life becomes a testimony that faith can transform even the darkest seasons into something meaningful. Those who are chosen by God often develop a deep awareness that their life is not only about personal success. They begin to see themselves as part of a much larger plan. This realization changes how they live each day. Instead of asking, "What can I gain?" they begin asking, "How can I serve?" Instead of seeking recognition, they look for opportunities to help others grow, heal, and find hope. This shift in perspective is one of the clearest signs of a divine calling. When your heart becomes more focused on giving than receiving, you begin to reflect the heart of God. The love, patience, and kindness you show others become evidence of His presence in your life. Another sign that God has chosen you is the resilience He places within you. Life will not always be easy. There will be moments of doubt, moments when you feel tired, and moments when you question whether you are strong enough to continue. But despite these feelings, you keep moving forward. Something inside you refuses to give up. This strength does not come from your own ability alone. It comes from the quiet assurance that God is guiding your path. Even when circumstances seem uncertain, you feel a deep sense of trust that He is working behind the scenes. Many people who are chosen by God also experience moments of divine timing. Opportunities appear at just the right moment, doors open that you never expected. Sometimes the right person enters your life with the exact encouragement or advice you needed. These moments may seem small, but together they form a pattern that reveals God's guidance. Over time, you begin to understand that God's timing is always perfect. What once felt like delays were actually moments of preparation. What once seemed like closed doors were actually protection from paths that were not meant for you. Another powerful sign is the way your faith begins to influence the atmosphere around you. People may feel peace when they talk with you. They may feel comfort when they share their struggles with you. They may even begin to see hope again simply because of the words you speak. This influence does not come from trying to impress others. It comes naturally. When your heart is aligned with God, the peace you carry becomes visible. The compassion you show becomes contagious. Without realizing it, you begin to bring light into places where darkness once existed. Being chosen by God also means learning to trust Him with the future. There will be moments when you cannot see the full picture. There will be times when the next step is not clear. But faith teaches you to move forward anyway. Trusting God means believing that He knows the path even when you do not. It means understanding that every season of life has a purpose. Sometimes the purpose is growth. Sometimes it is healing. Sometimes it is preparation for something greater than you imagined. The most beautiful part of being chosen by God is the relationship that develops between your heart and His presence. Prayer becomes more than words. It becomes conversation. It becomes connection. In quiet moments, you begin to feel that you are not alone. You start to recognize that God has been guiding you long before you realized it. He was there in your moments of fear. He was there in your moments of hope. He was there when you succeeded, and He was there when you struggled. This realization brings a deep sense of gratitude. Instead of focusing on what you lack, you begin to appreciate how much God has already done in your life. Gratitude strengthens faith, and faith strengthens your ability to continue walking in your calling. Eventually, you understand that being chosen by God is not about perfection. It is about willingness. God does not choose people because they are flawless. He chooses people who are willing to grow, willing to learn, and willing to trust Him. Your calling is not about becoming someone famous or powerful in the eyes of the world. Your calling is about becoming a person who reflects God's love wherever you go. Sometimes this happens through small acts of kindness. Sometimes it happens through words of encouragement. Sometimes it happens through quiet prayers for someone who is hurting. Each of these moments. And the most important thing to remember is this. When God chooses someone, He never leaves them alone. He walks with them. He strengthens them. He provides wisdom when decisions must be made and courage when the path feels difficult. Your story is still being written. The journey is not finished. Every day is another opportunity to step closer to the purpose God has placed within you. So continue seeking Him, continue trusting Him, continue allowing His love to guide your actions. Because when God chooses you, your life becomes more than just a personal journey. It becomes a light that helps others find their way. And that light can change the world one heart at a time.